Okay, well, thank y'all for coming today. Appreciate it. Today, we're going to be talking about Rapid OS and Application Deployment Solutions. We call it ROADS. It's the app, if you will, that we use to deploy the classrooms. My name is Terry Jordan, as you know. I'm the U.S. Elite Setup Tech for Services University here at Microsoft. Been here for 12 years, been in the industry for about a little over 30 years. And yes, I do have hair. Apparently, some people thought that I was bald because they've never seen me that I have before. So, but normally what we would do is go around the room and have everybody introduce themselves. But since everybody knows each other, what I'm going to have you do, if you can just stand up and just tell us, just say your name and tell us something about you that most of us probably don't know. For example, my name's Terry Jordan, and I was a cheerleader in high school. So just something that most people probably know. Actually, there is on Facebook.
We don't need copies of those, please.
So, Chris, you want to start?
Yes. My name's Chris Staggs. I'm the facility manager here for the Las Colinas campus. Something most of you don't know about me. I know most of you, or all of you actually, pretty well. Struggling with this one. Was a semi-professional musician for the better part of 20 years.
Wow.
So, thanks for having me, Terry.
Yeah, thank you. Ethan?
Name's Ethan Harper. Something that nobody knows about me yet. I am more than likely a better guitar player than Chris Staggs.
Wow.
I will bring my guitar tomorrow and we can meet in here and we can
Okay.
have a duel.
Chris, you can laugh now.
Hi, I'm Tina Chapman. I'm a lab engineer. I specialize in storage technologies. Something you probably don't know about me is I actually grew up in England. So I lived there for 7 years. So six and a half, 7 years as a youngster. So we lived on a military base, so I didn't get an accent or anything. But yeah, I was there.
Did you learn to enjoy
Oh,
soccer?
thank you.
I did, actually.
My name is Robert Adams, lab technician here. Kind of do the majority of like the hardware and equipment checkouts and stuff here. I think something that y'all don't know about me. Trying to think I guess I just want to be a big fan of Japanese entertainment, so we're getting Japanese anime to games and things of that nature. So even have a Japanese anime tattoo on my arm. So yeah.
We'll also need pictures of that.
George?
Yeah, that's my name. I'm George. I specialize in networking. What did you know about me? Let me see. Okay, let's start with what do you know about me? Actually, nothing. I love Korean shows. That's my thing. When I'm not working, I'm watching K-drama.
Especially
Yeah, Korean shows.
soap operas.
Korean
Yeah,
shows?
they
Like
are the best
Korean
shows
soap
ever
Do you,
watched.
do you know any of the language?
A little bit, Yane. I'm catching on. I'm learning Korean actually.
Oh, wow. That's
Awesome.
Don, you came in late. Just stand up, tell us who you are, and
I'm Don Kendall, I'm Assistant Facilities Manager, and I'll bet none of you know my age except Chris. I'm over 60.
wow. All right, well, thank y'all. Appreciate that. So, whenever we go through this presentation, if anybody has any questions, just feel free to ask. You know, raise your hand, throw something at me. I don't care, whatever you want to do. The only thing I do ask is if you're going to make fun of me, wait until after we stop recording. But And as I said earlier today, I'm going to be talking about the ROAD system. ROAD stands for the Rapid OS and Application Deployment Solution. I know some of you have, but how many of you have used the Fortinet MDT to image a laptop or anything like that? No? You? I know you have yours. Okay, well, MDT is the network solution for imaging the laptops, computers, and anything that we use on Fortinet. If you've used it, you know whenever you use MDT, you have to go in, you have to select the OS and any applications that you use and anything like that. That works great for a single machine, but I have 11 classrooms with 17 computers in each classroom, so I would be here all weekend if I had to answer all those questions on every machine. So what ROADS is, it's a GUI for MDT. It's a graphic user interface that we use, and basically, easiest way to explain it is it provides an answer file for all of those questions that you get asked whenever you deploy your OS. Excuse me. It's an internal tool. It was written specifically for the lab and modified to be able to use it in our classrooms. Roland was the one that created it for us. So why do we use ROADS? Well, MDT deploys the OS. What ROADS does in addition to that, it can copy files for us. Every class that I do has courseware and other files that go along with it. It can install software if you need SQL or SharePoint or anything like that. ROADS can install that for me. And the biggest thing that I use it for is configuring and importing VMs in Hyper-V. 99% of the classes that we use VMs. So basically, instead of a student having 5 computers, he has one computer with 5 virtual machines running on it. And when I deploy this, ROADS will actually configure that for me and import the VM so I don't have to do it. Best way to explain how it works is to show you. So I'm going to use a case file. Windows Server 2016 Containers is an actual class that we run here. Actually, I ran it last week. And I'm going to go through the process of setting it up and showing you what we do and how we deploy the classroom machines. So the first thing I would do is 3 weeks ahead of time, I send out an email and I ask for all the class files. The class files will also have a setup guide that tells me what OS they want, what applications they want, how they want the VMs configured. All of that stuff is in the setup guide. I copy those over to, they'll provide me a path, and I'll copy those over to my server, my file server, and that 76865 is the build ID. That's what I use to identify the files for that specific class, so that whenever I go to my server, I create a folder with that number, and then that way whenever I'm setting up the deployment for this specific classroom, I know where those files are. And as you can see over here is the files that I copied, the class files and the VMs, and the third thing in there is class INI. Class INI file is basically an answer file. Inside the INI, I can tell it, if you can see right here, it says Hyper-V and VMs. That's where I'm telling it to install Hyper-V. The next one right here, it's telling it to create a virtual private network in Hyper-V called external. And then the rest of it is send me an email when it's done and copying where to copy the files and stuff like that. But that's basically what an INI file does. So what I'm going to do is log into my server. If I type in the right password, that is. Once I get everything set up, we come in here and we set up the task. This right here is called the task selector. Over here is the files that I was talking about. So first thing you do is select our site. We're the Las Colinas site. We also have the Fargo, North Carolina, and Washington or Redmond site. We select the classroom. We're in Barton Springs right now. So this drop down has all of the classrooms at this site. So I can select which classroom I want to image. Right here is where I select the OS. Like I said earlier, the setup guide will tell me what OS to use. This particular one uses Server 2016. And I can, if I want, I can image one specific computer in this classroom, but I want to do all of them, so I select all class. And then right here is where I tell it where that file is, where all of these files are. So 76865 is the class ID. That's how it knows where to copy all the files and where to get the INI information that it's going to use to image the classes. So what I'd like to do now is show you these computers take forever to boot up. So what I did is I went ahead and rebooted them. Right now they're at they have 2 NICs, so it's wanting you to select a NIC. The top one is the one you select, so if you hit enter and then get ready to hit F12, it's going to pixie boot into our MDT server. Then it's going to come up with a menu. As you can see, the top one says MDT. If you selected that one, it would be just like if you went to CorpNet, and you would have to actually do all the drop downs and all that stuff. The bottom one is the task that we just set up by creating all of this. So if you select the bottom one and hit enter, it will start imaging that class or imaging that computer, and that's pretty much it. After that, it's the majority of my job is sitting here and waiting and babysitting and making sure that they actually go through and finish, and then sometimes there's some post config at the end, but the majority of the time that's about it. So to summarize, Rhodes is our rapid OS and application deployment solution. It's basically a GUI for MDT, and we use it to automate all of the classroom deployments.
Got a question for you.
And I was about to ask if anybody has any questions.
Well, good deal, we're on the same page then.
Yes, sir.
On the, I walked in a few minutes late, sorry about that.
Yep.
On the INI file, do you write that yourself?
We actually have a template and that has all of the different software packages that we can deploy. And I can just go in there and delete what I don't want.
Okay.
So
So you
we'll-
edit it then for, depending upon the situation?
depending on what they want. I mean,
Okay.
if we have a SQL class, they may want SQL installed, you know, things like that, so.
Sure.
But, and there's options in there as well. If I wanted to join the domain for me, I can tell it, yeah, join the machines to the domain, you know, different things like that. Any other questions?
So Terry, when these are finished, putting in Amazon, you'll get an email saying it's completed, or
I'm supposed to.
you're supposed to?
It hasn't worked in a while, but I'm supposed to.
Since March 2nd.
Yes.
Hasn't worked.
I know.
Yes.
But that is the Rhodes deployment solution.
And this is all proprietary to Microsoft.
MDT is not. MDT, anybody, any company can buy MDT and run it in their system. Rhodes is something that we, Roland and Venkat basically, wrote that allows us to do exactly what I said. It allows us to pre-configure what the installation is going to be like, and then all we have to do is hit a button and everything's automated.
Interesting.
Yep. questions? All right, well, thank y'all for coming.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.